Welcome to another guitar lesson. This one's all about sweep arpeggios. And so of course, as always, the preliminaries. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please be sure to check them out. And of course, check out my website. It's redisheshredder.com. We've got tabs and a lot of examples and a lot of text to go along with these lessons, so be sure to check that out. And of course, I've got a disclaimer, which I've talked about before, which just kind of goes over like what to expect from these guitar lessons. I can't overstate the disclaimer enough for this particular lesson, because sweep arpeggios are definitely like one of the hardest, if not the hardest, guitar technique there is. And I'm not the best at sweep arpeggios. I'm actually pretty bad at sweep arpeggios. I'm not an authority on them. I just do what works for me. And so as a result, I tend to have a lot of kind of bad habits and bad techniques for them. But I'll just show you what has worked for me, because a lot of you guys have asked to see it. So just keep that in mind. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt for sure. And yeah, don't expect to be an awesome sweep arpeggio player if you watch this lesson. This is mostly just kind of geared towards beginners, people who are starting to do sweep arpeggios. And then, of course, last but not least, I tune all of my strings down a whole step, but I'll still refer to everything as if I was in standard tuning. So here it is. So as I mentioned, sweep arpeggios are definitely extremely difficult. It's probably the hardest technique in guitar. So if you don't feel like you can play basic solos and stuff fairly well, if you can't play on key, if you can't play on time really easily, don't attempt to play sweep arpeggios, because it's just one of those hard things that you should make sure you have the ability to do it before you attempt it. So there's no shame in not playing them if you can. It just will sound bad if you try to play it and if you're not able to. So anyway, so what I like to do is use a lot of palm muting to really cut down on the noise, and as a result, it's kind of a bad habit too, though. Like, it mutes a lot of the notes. So there's that. And then of course, another bad habit that I like to actually pick the notes individually a lot, rather than doing kind of like a very clean sweeping motion. So that's what I do. And then of course, some of the things that I do that have worked for me are use certain sweep arpeggio shapes that are easier for me rather than the more difficult ones, and I'll show you those. And of course, as far as your left hand goes, it's pretty much just a basic. It's basically up to you to decide which notes to fret with which fingers. I like to just say do what works, do whatever's easier for you. And then of course with your right hand, you got to be really soft with the picking motion, and it's just got to be like a really clean sweeping motion. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some really common sweep arpeggio patterns, and so they're just going to be, for now we're just going to worry about minor and major chords. So once again, if you remember, minor and major chords are just root, third, fifth, minor third for the minor chords, and major third for the major chords. And so for the first ones, we'll start off small and then we'll build our way up. Alright, so if you remember, there's inversions, which basically just reorder those notes, the root, third, and fifth. So you can play like fifth, root, third, stuff like that. So there's three common ways that we'll do all these inversions. And of course, for each of these three ways, there's two different types. There's minor and major. And so we'll just start off with simple ones. These ones are just 3-string arpeggios, and there's 4 notes for each of these. So I'm going to do everything in the key of A. So let's start off with the minor version, which is A minor. This one's just root, third, fifth, in that order. So it would look like this. And that's it. It's just very simple. And then of course, you only have to change one note. You just change that minor third to a major third if you want to play the major version, and it's otherwise the same. Okay, here's the second way, which is just, it's going to be a third, starting with a third, then fifth, then a root. So let's just do A minor first, and then a major. I'm sorry. Okay, last but not least is the third way, which is just fifth, root, third. This way is my personal favorite, just because there's no barring, so I have much easier time with it. And here's the minor version. And then let's do the major version as well. Once again, you just change that minor third to a major third. Alright, so once you're able to master those 3-string versions, you can move on to 4- and 5-string, even 6-string arpeggios, which is pretty much, if you want to, learn those arpeggios with those minor and major chords, it's very simple. All you do is just keep adding roots and keep adding fifths and thirds. So I'll just go ahead and show you 4 and 5 string versions of the ones we just did. So we'll go back to the first one, which is just root, third, fifth, in that order. So we'll do this one. I'm sorry. That's the minor version. You can do major too. And then the second way, which was starting with the third, well, I like to play it as a 4-string arpeggio most of the time. So let's do minor first. And then the major version. Oh, I'm sorry. And then the last one, which once again, which is my favorite because it's easiest for me, is going to be this one. And then the major version. And then for all of those, you can add or remove notes as you see fit, and you can add tapping too. So one common thing I like to do is this. So one really commonly used scale for these sweep arpeggios is the diminished scale. And if you don't know what diminished scale is, it's just a 4-note scale, and you just pick a root note, and then you just keep adding minor thirds, and that's all it is. So let's say you want to play an E minor. E is your, E diminished scale. E is your root note, and then your minor third is G, and then you add another minor third, which will be B flat, and then another minor third, C sharp. So it's just E, G, B flat, C sharp. And so a really commonly used 3-string shape is this. And so if you've heard any Yngwie Malmsteen or anything like that, he uses that shape all the time. For that scale, you know, one nice thing about it is since it's just this nice little pattern, you can move the entire shape up and down 3 frets wherever you want to go. And then the next thing you can do is make it a 5-string shape. And what I like to do is I like to do one of my own shapes, which actually just skips a note, so it goes E, B flat, E, and then does the shape that I just showed you. So it'll kind of like this, once again, 5-string arpeggio. And you know, same thing. You can move that up and down 3 frets at a time. And then there's a version which you can, you know, play, which is a 5-string arpeggio, but it doesn't skip any notes. And I'll play it an octave higher, so it'll be like this. So that arpeggio is a little bit more complicated because of the big stretch at the beginning, and then also it has 2 notes on the G string, which is a little awkward for me if you ask me. So don't forget, you know, you can make any kind of arpeggios out of any types of chords you want. One that's used a lot is the suspended chord that we talked about, and so that one is just going to be just like this. Let's do once again a key of A, so it'll just be like this. So I always like to use Yngwie for playing sweep arpeggios, so you know, bear with me because I'm going to play this really slowly. I haven't done it in years, but here's a part of the song he has, it's called Liar, so it's like this. And then the second part is like this. Alright, another one is the Yngwie song Demon Driver, so once again, bear with me. And I actually kind of have my own version of this one. I didn't learn it exactly the way he plays on the record. Alright guys, well thanks for watching the lesson. I can't emphasize that, you know what, I'm really not that good at sweep arpeggios, so you know, hopefully this will just get you started, but if you want to become like really good at them, you might want to look at some other lessons, like some actual professional guitar lessons for sweep arpeggios. Anyway, thanks for watching. Alright, peace. Anyway.